Why are Gen Z protests suddenly erupting across the world? Why is the youngest generation so angry, so restless, and so willing to take to the streets? From Nepal to Morocco, from Madagascar to Kenya, we are seeing a clear pattern. Young people are protesting, and many of these protests are turning violent. Today, we are going to focus on one country in particular, Tanzania. But as you'll see, what's happening in Tanzania is not very different from what's happening elsewhere. First, let's understand who we are talking about. Generation Z includes people born between 1997 and 2012. This is the most widely accepted definition. These are young people in their late teens, early 20s, and late 20s. They are educated, digitally connected, and politically aware. So the real question is this: why is such a young generation so unhappy that they are risking their lives on the streets? To answer that, we need to understand what exactly happened in Tanzania, and then we'll draw broader parallels. Now, let's come back to Tanzania. The Gen Z protests in Tanzania began in late October 2025, right when the general elections were taking place. These elections were expected to reinforce continuity under President Samia Suluhu Hassan. Instead, they triggered unrest. There were serious allegations that the elections were not fair. Opposition parties claimed they were not allowed to campaign freely. Their rallies were restricted. Curfews were imposed. Political workers were detained and jailed. The youth saw this as a clear denial of democratic space. What began as protests soon turned violent, and even today, unrest continues in different parts of the country. Before we go deeper, Tanzania itself is important from an exam point of view, so let's quickly revise some key facts. Tanzania is located in East Africa and is the largest country in the region by area. It includes important islands like Zanzibar and Pemba. Zanzibar is especially significant because IIT Madras has its offshore campus there. Dar es Salaam is the administrative capital, while Dodoma is the legislative capital. To the north lies Lake Victoria, the source of the River Nile. To the west is Lake Tanganyika, and in the south lies Lake Nyasa. Tanzania is also home to Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's highest peak. From India's perspective, Tanzania is a strategic partner. India is one of Tanzania's largest export destinations, and bilateral trade between the two countries is strong. Now, let's return to the core issue. Why is the youth so angry? The first and most important reason is youth unemployment. Among people aged 18 to 35, unemployment is around 26%. That is extremely high. Young people are completing secondary and higher education, but those degrees are not converting into jobs. This gap between education and employment is creating deep frustration. The second issue is the nature of available jobs. Nearly 80% of employment in Tanzania is in the informal sector. That means low wages, no job security, and no social protection. Many young people feel self-employment is a better option than working in such conditions. So the problem is twofold. There are not enough jobs, and the jobs that do exist are mostly unstable and informal. The third issue is the rising cost of living. Food, fuel, and housing costs have increased sharply. Inflation is high. When people don't have stable income and the cost of basic survival keeps rising, anger is inevitable. Add to this widespread corruption, which further reduces trust in institutions. Then came the final trigger: internet shutdowns. Gen Z relies heavily on social media to organize, communicate, and build solidarity. When internet access was restricted, young people felt their voices were being deliberately silenced. That sense of suppression pushed protests into a more violent direction. So what we are seeing in Tanzania is not one single cause. It is accumulated frustration, unemployment, informality, high living costs, corruption, political restrictions, and digital censorship. And this is not unique to Tanzania. In Nepal, we saw corruption and nepotism. In Kenya, economic distress. In Morocco and Madagascar, similar patterns. Across the world, Gen Z is reacting to the same structural problems. That said, violence is not a solution. What is needed is dialogue, institutional engagement, channels where youth demands are heard, discussed, and addressed seriously. Whether Tanzania's protests will subside and how the government responds remains to be seen.